Hello, my friends. It is so good to have you here. Today, I want to take you on a journey. We are going to a city full of fog, history, and magic. We are going to London. Close your eyes for a moment. Can you hear it? A deep, heavy sound. Bong, bong, bong. It is a sound that people all over the world recognize. It is the sound of Big Ben. But what exactly is Big Ben? Is it the tower? Is it the clock? Or is it something else? Many people think Big Ben is the name of the tall, beautiful tower in London. But here is a little secret. That is not actually true. The tower has a different name. The giant clock has its own story. And Big Ben, well, Big Ben is actually a massive bell inside. It is a bell with a voice so loud it can be heard from miles. Have you ever wondered how such a giant bell got there? Who built it? And why does it mean so much to the people of England and the world? Think about your own life. Do you have a favorite sound? Maybe it is the sound of rain or a song your mother sang. For Londoners, Big Ben is the heartbeat of their city. It tells them that time is moving and that they are home. In this story, we will go back in time. We will see fires, big dreams, and hard work. We will meet the men who wanted to build the best clock in the world. We will learn how a simple bell became a symbol of strength. Are you ready to walk through history with me? Let's begin our journey at a time when London almost lost everything. Imagine a cold night in October 1834. The sky over London is not black. It is bright, scary orange. The Palace of Westminster, the place where the government meets, is on fire. People stood by the River Thames and watched. They cried as the old buildings burned to the ground. It was a tragedy. In just one night, hundreds of years of history turned into gray ash. But my friends, sometimes something beautiful can come from something sad. When the fire finally went out, the people of London did not give up. They said, "We will build it again, and this time it will be bigger and better than before." The government held a contest. They asked the best architects in the country to design a new palace. They wanted it to look grand. They wanted it to show the power and beauty of their nation. A man named Charles Barry won the contest. He had a vision for a magnificent building. But there was one problem. He was an architect, not a clock expert. He knew the palace needed a great clock tower, but he didn't know how to make one that would work perfectly. Can you imagine the pressure? He had to build something that would last forever. He had to replace what was lost with something even more iconic. This was the beginning of the dream. It wasn't just about stone and wood anymore. It was about hope. It was about showing the world that London could rise from the ashes. The plan for the tower was born from this fire. It was meant to be a lighthouse of time for the city. But as we will see, building a dream is never easy. To build a masterpiece, you need the right people. Charles Barry was the leader, but he needed help. He found a young man named Augustus Pugin. Pugin was a genius at design. He loved the Gothic style, those beautiful pointy decorations you see on old churches. If Charles Barry was the bones of the building, Pugin was the soul. Pugin worked very hard. He designed everything. He designed the wallpaper, the tiles, and most importantly, the beautiful face of the clock tower. But Pugin's life was not easy. He worked so hard that he became very tired and sick. He gave his whole life to this tower. While Pugin was drawing the beautiful outside, the government was looking for someone to build the brain of the clock. They didn't want a normal clock. They wanted the most accurate clock in the world. They wanted a clock that would stay perfectly on time, even in the wind and the snow. Most clocks back then were not very good. They would slow down or speed up. But the leaders of London said, "No, our clock must be perfect." This was a very difficult goal. Many clockmakers said it was impossible. How can a giant clock outside high in a tower stay accurate to the second? But two men believed they could do it. One was a scientist named George Airy, and the other was a lawyer who loved clocks named Edmund Beckett Denison. They were not always easy to work with. They had very strong opinions. They argued with the builders. They argued with the government, but they had a vision. They wanted to create something that had never been created before. Isn't it amazing how people can come together to do something great? Even when they disagree, their shared dream keeps them moving. The blueprint was ready. Now, they just had to make it real. Now, let's talk about the heart of the tower. This is the clock mechanism. Imagine a room full of giant metal wheels, weights, and gears. This is the machine that moves the hands of the clock. Edmund Beckett Dennison was the man in charge of this machine. He knew that the wind hitting the giant clock hands could push them and make the clock wrong. To fix this, he invented something brand new called the gravity escapement. It is a special guard that makes sure the clock only moves exactly when it is supposed to. Because of this invention, the clock became the most accurate in the world. But there was a funny solution used sometimes. Small coins. Old British pennies. If the clock is a little bit too fast, they add a penny to the pendulum. If it is too slow, they take one away. 1 penny can change the speed of the clock by 0.4 seconds a day. A giant machine controlled by tiny coins. The clock was a triumph. But a clock needs a voice. That voice was the great bell. The first bell, made in 1856, weighed 16 tons and was pulled through London by 16 white horses. But during testing, it cracked. So the metal was melted, and another bell was made in 1858 at the Whitechapel Bell Foundry. This bell weighed about 13.5 tons. This second bell is the one we call Big Ben. Why the name Big Ben? Some say it was named after Sir Benjamin Hall, a tall man who supervised a project. Others believe it was named after a famous boxer named Ben Caunt. No one knows for sure. But the name stayed. Getting the bell to the top of the tower was extremely difficult. It took 30 hours of hard work using ropes and pulleys to lift it slowly inside the tower. Finally, Big Ben reached its home. The tower itself rose to about 315 feet high. It had 4 giant clock faces made from 312 pieces of glass each. Inside the tower there are 334 narrow steps leading to the bell. The tower was finished in 1859. Now, the city waited to hear its voice. On May 31st, 1859, the clock started working. And in July, the bell chimed for the first time. Bong. The sound echoed across London. But only 2 months later, the bell cracked. Again. Engineers solved the problem by turning the bell slightly and using a lighter hammer. The crack gave Big Ben its slightly unique sound. The sound we hear today. Soon the chimes became part of everyday life. In 1923, the BBC began broadcasting the chimes on radio. People around the world could hear Big Ben. During World War II, London was bombed heavily. Even when the tower was damaged, the clock kept ticking and the bell kept ringing. For people listening on the radio, the chimes became a symbol of hope. It meant London was still standing. Big Ben also celebrates joyful moments like New Year's Eve when crowds gather to count down to midnight. Today, the tower has a new official name. In 2012, it was renamed Elizabeth Tower to honor Queen Elizabeth II. Recently, the tower was restored for 5 years. The stones were cleaned, the clock repaired, and the hands were repainted in their original blue color. In 2020, the restoration finished and Big Ben began ringing regularly again. So what did we learn? Big Ben is not the tower. Big Ben is the bell. It was born from fire, built with determination, and still stands proudly today. It reminds us that even when things break, they can still ring beautifully. Thank you for joining me on this journey through history. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep dreaming.